Now, last team sticking here in the SEC East. Let's kick it on down to Rocky Top, where them Vols had a scrimmage of their own on Saturday. It's kind of weird how they did it. If you don't know, of course, Tennessee fans, you're well aware, they're doing renovations right now to Neyland Stadium. They're trying to get that done in time for the upcoming college football season. So no spring game. The facility was not open to them. They held somewhat of a scrimmage there on the practice field, but a lot of the key players either limited or did not participate. So, I can't read too much into anything we saw there in Knoxville over the weekend with the roster in the state that it currently is this spring in Knoxville. Defensive backs across the board are out, still trying to find our way there. This certainly seemed like a situation where Josh Heupel really wanted to get a lot of his backup quarterbacks, get them plenty of reps. I believe Hendon Hooker only had 1 or 2 series and then basically sat the thing out. But we've talked about Jalen Hyatt and his emergence this offseason. Everybody knows Cedric Tillman, one of the best, if not the best, returning receiver in the SEC. Brew McCoy, the Southern Cal transfer, in Tennessee. That could come at any point in time. We're starting to see weapons here emerge on the outside. But one guy, we got to give him credit. If he can bounce back and make an impact on this roster, very, very talented player, someone under Jeremy Pruitt, they were singing the praises. They were happy they got him. And this is a guy they had to fight hard to keep away from Kentucky. Kentucky was pitching this guy on being the next Lynn Bowden. And I'm talking Jimmy Calloway, who barely played last season. 5 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown. Played in 3 games. Started against the Florida Gators. Had some bad drops. And we never saw him again. Now, anytime a new coach takes over and you see something like that, it's safe to assume, hey, they ain't buying in. The coach doesn't like the fit. This guy needs to transfer out. What hasn't happened. And after the scrimmage here, Josh Heupel singing the praises of Jimmy Calloway and the progress he's made, the talent he has. This is another guy that Tennessee really, really needs to step up. They're going to need playmakers to emerge. The way they run this system, by the end of last season, they only had 3 or 4 receivers they could trust. If they can up that to 5, 6, 7 this season, the tempo they go out, it could make all the difference in the world to have fresh receivers that can be counted on. And Jimmy Calloway is one you got to watch as a potential breakout candidate in year 2 under Josh Heupel. And I'm sure he's looking at Cedric Tillman and what he was able to do in this system. I'm sure he's looking over there at Jalen Hyatt and seeing the progressions he's making this spring. He's seeing all these freshmen come in. If I don't work, these guys are going to take it from me. So let's kick it over to Josh Heupel on the emergence of Jimmy Calloway this spring at Tennessee.
Josh, what do you think about the playmaking potential of Jimmy Calloway when you see him make a play like that?
Great play by him. Obviously has so many athletic skills and traits, and just the growth and evolution of him as a player. But it speaks to a lot of the young players that we have inside of our program. Excited for him to perform in that way.
What kind of spring has Calloway had? I know last year, it didn't go the way he wanted it to go, especially later in the year. How's he bounced back from that this spring?
Yeah, today was probably his best day on the grass, and you want that in those competitive situations for them to rise to their best performance. For Jimmy, so talented, right? And the way he approaches and does everything, in his life, but on the practice field, in the meeting room, is going to take him to maximizing his talent. He's a guy that inside of our program we have high expectations for. He's going to continue on that growth, and it was great to see him perform the way he did today.
But it wasn't just the scrimmage that Tennessee had on Saturday. They had their 5-star quarterback, Nico, came to town with his 7-on-7 group. And, man, the city was buzzing there with anytime your 5-star quarterback come to campus, and he was not alone. Came with a 5-star receiver, Carnell Tate. 4-star Arizona receiver, Kyle Casper, was in town. Tons and tons of recruits on campus coming with Nico to take in this spring scrimmage that was sort of kind of the spring game there for Tennessee. And, man, it was Even Cam Newton came into town. It was pretty wild. So that's kind of the buzz that Tennessee is using their 5-star quarterback Nico as front and center of the recruiting charge. It's pretty wild to see that, hey, if Tennessee is going to make some noise here on the recruiting front, it's going to be because of Nico. And they already have made some strides, but they need pieces around him to build this into a top 5 class. And hey, following this weekend, Tennessee did get a commit. Just want to give this guy a shout out because I can't recall seeing stats this ridiculous, but Nathan Robinson, an in-state lineman, picked Tennessee over Ole Miss and Kentucky. He had 23 sacks as a junior for Greenbrier High School here. So, man, 23 sacks. He's only rated as a 3-star. I don't know how many sacks he needs to elevate his rankings there, but pretty wild stat there. 23 sacks, I'll say again. I mean, who's this, Reggie White Jr. out here? So, but that's all I've got on this episode of the show. I do have a couple guests lined up for the show this week. Should make for a really, really solid week of guests coming on the show. And we may even get Cousin Shane back on the line on the next episode. So that's the plan, at least. And you just never know with that guy what the plan could change any moment. But I say all that to say this. Don't go anywhere. We're still going to have loaded shows the rest of the week. We got to enjoy the spring action while we can, because before long it'll be over and we'll be back to list season. So I do appreciate each and every one of you, particularly here in the middle of April, hanging out with us. But that's going to do it for this episode of the show. Appreciate each and every one of you. We'll catch you on the next one.